Something that often gets overlooked in cosplay, even by us experienced cosplayers, is the time it takes to plan and design a costume, to find reference material, to break that down, to look at different elements, and consider how you go about making those different elements of a costume. Rather than giving you yet another chest armor tutorial, which I'm sure you can find plenty of on YouTube, I thought I'd take a less conventionally designed character, one that I've not seen done before, and go through the breaking down of the elements of how I'm going to make that costume, so that you can kind of get an idea of the process before we actually get into the making of it, because this is kind of an important step that, again, we often overlook. So the character that I'm going to look at making for this demonstration is Monoco from Expedition 33, which I'm quite excited to build this year. Well, after some trawling of the internet, I came across these ArtStation references for Monoco, which are quite good. I've used ArtStation before. They're great. I can obviously zoom in and see the different elements. It's got the full model down below with front and, most importantly, back images, which are notoriously difficult to find. So starting at the top for Monoco, obviously large elements of him are white fur, and I'll probably get some long pile white fur to complete those elements of his upper body and shoulders. I might use some white wig wefts to get the length around his mask, just to get that kind of texture. I might use a foam base and glue the wigs over it so that it stays in that shape, but I'll have a bit of an experiment afterwards and see what I can accomplish. The simple elements are actually going to be the mask and the belt and his body. These are quite easily going to be makeable out of EVA foam. I'll be able to get the wooden textures for his belt. I'll easily be able to paint on the symbols. There are some chain elements to his lower belt where pieces hang off. I may be able to source some chain from sort of old Halloween decorations, that kind of thing, rather than making that myself, to make that easier on myself. There's some fabric elements to his lower belt. His body here, because he is indeed a wooden puppet, I'm actually going to make an EVA foam torso for him to act as a base, as opposed to wearing some fur-covered top, because it's going to give that more rigid look, and I can get away with making, obviously, a very basic EVA foam body piece to simulate that. His arms, obviously, are wooden. I'm probably going to do something similar and mimic that with kind of bracer style EVA pieces of armor. We've got the full body pieces here. Before we get onto the back, I'll probably use some sort of scrap fabric elements to make the skirt from, and obviously some faux leather for the central hanging part. His legs are wrapped. Again, I will make those kind of as EVA foam pieces as for the arms, which I can sort of easily put on and off as braces. And then I'll probably get some fingerless gloves, or make fingerless gloves to, again, achieve that wooden effect. And maybe paint my hands, maybe put some white gloves on underneath, whatever makes that more usable and more practical. His staff, I'm actually considering using Halcyon staff because it's the right kind of shape. I would just have to find or make a bell. I feel like finding a bell, this should be a fairly easy prop piece to find, perhaps in garden furniture sections. I'm always about shortcuts. If I can get away without making something, then I absolutely will. And then I can hang that from my potentially Halcyon staff to save on making a new one. Moving over to his back, there's actually more detail going on back here than we'd like as cosplayers. But certainly he's got this sort of bundle of sticks looking piece on his back. I imagine that is in fact the backpack in which he carries all of the feet he collects. But I will probably make some of these more detailed ones out of foam, or maybe get some offcuts of wood or dowel that I have lying around and add detail to those. I may actually put some real sticks in here, just stuff I find. I'll go out for a walk, find some stuff that I can load up, and I'll obviously just strap that into a backpack that I can make easily attachable over the EVA foam armor. So with that kind of brief overlook at how my head works when I start breaking down the character, obviously I spend a lot more time going through bit by bit than I did on this video. I'm going to look at each one of those individual elements in a lot more detail and consider again how I'm going to texture, how I'm going to make the attachments to it all wearable, and so on and so forth. But hopefully that gives you a little bit of an insight of the kind of beginning steps so that you could adopt those and use them yourself to approach a build that perhaps you haven't seen before, perhaps you want to design yourself, or perhaps you just wanted to see the kind of entire process from the very beginning of how we make a cosplay.